Karen had been on a tear for weeks, sending nasty letters about everything from my unapproved tractors to the unruly oak tree shading my driveway. But her latest crusade? The color of my ranch gate. It was an iron gate I'd painted deep forest green, the same shade as the surrounding pines. To me, it blended perfectly. To her, it was an eyesore. At the HOA meeting, she slammed a photo of my gate onto the table. "This hideous thing is lowering property values. We demand he repaint it white immediately, or the HOA will take action." I chuckled. "Karen, my ranch isn't part of your HOA. You don't get a vote here." Her eyes narrowed. "We'll see about that." The next week, I woke to the sound of heavy machinery. Looking out, I nearly spit my coffee. Karen had rented a construction tractor, yes, an actual bulldozer-sized machine, and parked it right in front of my ranch gate. "This is your last chance," she shouted when she saw me. "Repaint it, or we'll remove it ourselves." I shook my head. "Karen, you touch my gate, you're trespassing and committing property damage. Don't say I didn't warn you." She smirked. "Try and stop me." So I didn't. Instead, I called a buddy of mine at the county. He was in charge of property enforcement and owed me a favor. While Karen stood there, directing the bulldozer driver to start tearing it down, a convoy rolled up, county officials and deputies included. The driver froze, seeing the badges. Ma'am? This looks like trouble." Karen snapped. "Keep going. I'm the HOA president. I have authority." That's when the county inspector stepped forward, holding up a folder. "No, you don't. This property is privately owned, legally deeded, and registered. That gate is permitted, and you just attempted to demolish county-approved construction. Do you realize what that means?" Karen faltered. "And no, it means," the inspector said flatly, "you're liable for damages, fines, and possibly criminal charges." The deputies turned to me. "Sir, do you want to press charges?" I tapped my chin, pretending to think. Well, she did block my driveway with a bulldozer and threaten my property. Yeah, I think I do." Karen's jaw hit the floor. "What? You can't. This is discrimination against HOA rights." The deputies ignored her protest, slapped her with a trespassing citation on the spot, and warned the operator to leave immediately or face charges too. The best part? They made her personally pay for the cost of bringing the bulldozer onto private land without permission. Thousands of dollars she definitely didn't budget for. A week later, the HOA board held an emergency meeting. I heard from a neighbor that even they were sick of her antics. The board voted to suspend her presidency, pending review. Translation: they'd had enough of her embarrassing power trips. And my green gate, still standing, still blending into the pines, looking better than ever. Sometimes justice isn't quiet. Sometimes it's a tractor rolling away while Karen screams that she's the victim. And every time I drive through my gate, I smile knowing she learned the hard way. My gate wasn't going anywhere, but her position of power? Bulldozed. Last year, I had to spend 6 months overseas for work. Before leaving, I made sure everything was secured, fences repaired, and cattle tended to. I had a ranch hand checking in weekly. Everything was in order. But when I returned, I didn't recognize my own land. Where my fields once stretched, there were rows of cookie-cutter houses, sidewalks, streetlights, driveways, and bright banners that read, "Welcome to Oak Ridge Estates, Phase 2. 138 brand new homes, built directly on my property." I nearly ran my truck off the road. I stormed straight to the HOA clubhouse, where Karen, the president, was sipping iced tea like a queen on her throne. "You've got 10 seconds to explain why there are houses on my land," I growled. Karen smiled sweetly. "Oh, don't be so dramatic. The developer decided to expand, and your ranch land was perfect. Don't worry, you'll be compensated once the sales finalize." My blood boiled. "You built on MY property without consent. That's trespass, fraud, and theft." Karen laughed. "You weren't using it. Now families will enjoy it. You should be thanking us." I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just walked out because I knew something she didn't. See, the developer who originally built their subdivision? I'd gone to school with the CEO, and while the HOA thought they were cozy with him, they forgot one important detail. Their contracts only covered the lots already sold. They had zero rights to expand without purchasing new land. And they hadn't purchased mine, which meant every one of those 138 houses was sitting illegally on my ranch. I called the CEO. Hey, you might want to check your records, I told him, because your company just built phase 2 on land I still own. There was silence on the other end of the line, followed by a panicked, "What?" I sent him the deed, the surveys, and the aerial photos. Within hours, his legal team descended on the HOA like a pack of wolves. Turns out, the HOA board had forged documents claiming they had development rights. The contractor never verified ownership, they just built. That single mistake triggered one of the biggest lawsuits in county history. The HOA was sued for fraud. The developer sued them for damages. Homebuyers sued them for selling illegal lots. And me? I sued for land theft. In the end, the HOA was completely bankrupted. Karen and her board were personally liable for millions. Their homes were seized, their assets drained, and their reputations destroyed. As for the 138 new houses, the county condemned them. Some were bulldozed, others sat empty, rotting shells of a failed scam. My ranch hand and I tore down the cheap sidewalks and fences, and I reclaimed my land. Today, when I drive past that part of my ranch, it's peaceful again, just wide, open fields. A few remnants of driveways poke through the grass like scars, reminders of what Karen and her HOA tried to steal. They thought they could take my land while I was away. Instead, they lost everything, while I gained one of the most ironclad property rights cases in county history. My ranch stood long before their HOA, and it'll still be here long after they're gone.